and I know there are many of you who by now know, in fact all of us do know by now, that Donald Trump staged a comeback. He says this is historic. The CNN admits it's unprecedented, and the way he goes about it, winning, in fact, virtually all the battleground states. But that's triggered a conversation in Ghana. Already, the NDC says it's an indication that John Dramani Mahama will stage a comeback to reset Ghana. The NPP says, well, anytime the Republicans have won in the US, we have also won. So it cannot be the case that, a victory for Donald Trump becomes a victory for John Dramani Mahama. This morning, let's get into it. It's a political season. And Director of Communications of the Bawumia campaign, Dennis Miracles Abuaje, is joining us on phone. We'll be joined by Sami Jen Sam also shortly. Dennis Miracles Abuaje, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, bro. How are we doing?
We're fine. I see that the political parties are trying to capitalize on the Donald Trump victory as to what is going to happen in Ghana, isn't it?
Well, not for the MPP. I haven't seen any of the MPP do that. Yesterday, the General Secretary only released a statement simply because the Republican Party, as you are aware, and the MPP belong to the same group, the Democracy Union, International Democracy Union. And so, basically, it's our sister party that has won an election in the U.S. And we share in that victory. And the fact that we have a sister conservative party who has been found fit enough to lead the United States of America. And so it is on the basis of that relationship that exists between the MPP and the Republican Party that really the MPP is having any conversation at all and nothing else. You already know that a lot of times when the Republican Party are having their political events, we are invited to send representatives. Barely some 2-3 months ago, some leadership of the Republican Party were in this country to also help train our party people on some areas in political mobilization. So that relationship exists between the two parties. And so it was in order that the General Secretary and the party shares in Donald Trump's victory reinforces the fact that the world needs the conservative political parties to make it a better place.
Now, talking about the world needing conservative political parties, isn't that in itself, you aligning with that victory and by extension indicating what is likely to happen or what should happen in Ghana?
No. My mother in Latte is not going to vote because somebody in the United States has won an election. That is completely far-fetched. And I think that is trivial at its best. The challenges in Ghana are completely different from the challenges in the United States. The issues and the facts that are confronting the people of Ghana are completely different from the ones that are confronting the United States of America. So yes, you can do some conversations around it, but in actual sense, it's just talk. And we don't want to, we are not naive to think that the people in KJTR or half a region this morning are going to be voting based on the issues that confront them, and not because some other country voted for a political party that is NPP friendly. I don't think that is anything relevant to us.
But I'm sure you've heard from some of your friends on the other side who've said this is an indication that the U.S. elections, they've cited the fact that the U.S. elections have had some bit of whenever the Republicans have won, the NPP's won. When the Democrats have won, the NDC's won. But of course, that didn't happen in 2020. But they say that's an indication that once a former president in the U.S. has been able to stage a occasion of things to happen in Ghana in December 2024.
we wish them well. But this one, Dr. Mahmoud Bamia is still in the Ashanti region campaigning and having conversations that are quite relevant to the day and seeking for the votes of the people. I mean, these things, you can do the analysis from 100 different angles. You can talk about somebody that is about 80 years within an election, so it makes it possible that an 80-year person can come and win an election in Ghana. You can talk about somebody that is as tall as Donald Trump, and so because of Donald Trump's height and the person's height, somebody can win an election. You can talk about a woman who has been rejected by the America, and for which reason Ghanaians will also reject a woman. I mean, there are so many ways to look at it. We don't think it's relevant. 30 days to elections, that's serious things to discuss. Like I'm saying, Nana Dankwe Akufo-Addo won elections in 2016. Donald Trump won election in 2016. But Donald Trump lost in 2020. If you recall, when Donald Trump lost in 2020, the same NDC said that because our sibling, the Republican Party, has lost in the US, we are also going to lose. I'm sure you remember.
Sure.
They said it. That because Republican Party has lost in 2020 elections, Nanado was also going to lose. And that they are friends to the Democrats. In fact, I'm just looking at a flyer that they did where Joe Biden was lifting the hands of Kamala Harris and John Mahama, His Excellency, was holding the hands of Professor Nana Jen and had lifted it up. And they did a photo grid of it and shared it all over social media. That because Biden had won the elections, it means that, and then he had a female vice president. It was an indication that John Mahama was going to win the 2020 elections with a female vice president because these are all things that have come to happen in the past, and they didn't win. So, like I'm saying, unless we just want to have these conversations to laugh and be happy over, they are not really relevant to the woman at Ayeswano. And in any case, if you are going to do permutations, we are a sister party to the party that has won in the United States. We have the same symbol, we have the same political ideology, we have the same political principles and philosophy. They are our sisters in the US. They train our people. We go to share ideas and share strategies with them. They come and share with us. So, if anything, we say that the elephant has been brought back into the White House. And if you already have the elephant in the Jubilee House, why do you take it out? And so there are so many ways to look at it. Like I'm saying, the people of Ija Kwabra South are having their own issues that Dr. Mahmoud Bamia is having a conversation around with them now. And that's what we are keeping our eyes on. But the conversation can continue. It doesn't matter. The end is, we wish them well. If they would not go and campaign and they would only sit down and think that because a former president has been, who said it's not possible for a former president to win an election? There are so many examples. Donald Trump is not the only former president that has lost an election and come back. If you go to Brazil, it happened recently, not too long ago, and all of that. So it doesn't mean anything. And there are also several former presidents that have staged comebacks and lost. So really, I don't know what we are discussing this morning, really.
Just hold on, because Sami Jen Sam, National Communications Officer of the NDC, has joined us on the phone. Sami, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Kojo.
So, Sami, how is a Donald Trump victory likely to impact elections in Ghana?
Well, I don't think that substantially the just ended American election can impact the upcoming December 7th polls that Ghanaians will be going. However, there are useful lessons from the outcome of the just ended elections in the United States of America, which I believe many discerning Ghanaians will pick something from. And that has to do with the fact that you cannot have a sitting vice president pretend to be a mere driver's mate, pretend to run away from responsibility, pretend to distance himself or herself from the failings of a government that he or she is part and parcel of. You cannot have a vice president sitting vice president for that matter, pretend to be an opposition leader in his own government, campaigning against policies that he himself was part and parcel of relative to the shaping and formulating of such policies, come to you and say, I represent change, so vote for me and I will do things differently. Vote for me and I am going to reduce hardships. I'm going to address the problems that you are going through. No. Discerning minds will always reject such double speak, such hypocrisy, such double standards, because they know that it is not genuine, it is not sincere. That is what the outcome of the just ended United States of America elections signify. That once you are a sitting vice president of an incumbent regime, you are part and parcel of that regime. You share in the successes of that regime and you share in the failings of that regime. You cannot attempt to take the people for granted and play on their intelligence by claiming that you are different from that government. No, discerning minds are going to reject you. So this is a clarion call to Alhaji Bawumia, who is a flag bearer of the failed ruling New Patriotic Party, and who today is campaigning like an opposition leader in government, telling Ghanaians that, oh, utilities are so high because we import A, B, C, D. Vote for me and I will do things differently, forgetting that in the last 8 years, he's been part and parcel of the very people who have destroyed our economy. And in fact, he was at the helm relative to the mismanagement of the economy in his position as chairman of the so-called economic management team. You cannot tell Ghanaians that vote for me and I'll scrap the e-levy when your general secretary who sits in cabinet told Ghanaians that you are in full support of the e-levy. You can't tell us vote for me and I'll scrap emissions levy when you are the chairman of the economic management team that proposed these draconian tax policies to cabinet for cabinet's approval. Ghanaians are far away. Ghanaians are discerning. They will not, excuse my language, be fooled by these theatrics and these gimmicks. They can see through the lies. They know that once upon a time, candidate Akufo-Addo came to we the people of Ghana and shared his sincere handicap relative to the management of the economy and told us that it was for that reason that he had selected a young man called Alhaji Bawumia, who was once the deputy governor at the Bank of Ghana and helped President Kufuor stabilize the city, to come and give Ghanaians a strong city. We've seen the videos. City now
Okay. Yeah, but Sami, I mean, talking about...
He told us exactly why he brought Bawumia into the picture. And so Ghanaians today will hold Bawumia accountable relative to the primary responsibility for which he was made or elected vice president. Which responsibility is the management of our national currency and the management of the economy, which today he has failed woefully to do. Kenyans will hold him accountable for that.
But Sami, I mean, the U.S. also, in fact, the polls had indicated that, yes, while the economy was in, many people looked at the economic policies of both Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, and about 55% of Americans felt that into the future, Donald Trump would be a better handler or manager of the economy than Kamala Harris. Shouldn't that be something you should be looking at instead of what is in the past? They looked at the future and who had the best economic policies.
My brother, that is exactly what I am driving at. And that is exactly what I think majority of the Ghanaian electorate will be looking at. The economic management records of the two political parties. Why? John Dramani Mahama has been vice president before and chairman of the economic management team. He's held the same position that Alhaji Bawumia has held in 8 years. Whereas one of these two personalities is now shying away from the economy. He doesn't even have the mojo to mention the word economy and discuss the economic policies of his own government. The other, who is not even an economist, is always proud to talk about the economy because he has a far superior legacy when it comes to prudent management of the economy. It was under John Mahama as chairman of the economic management team that Ghana chalked its best ever economic matrices. It was under him that inflation reduced from double digits to single digits and was sustained as single digits for 33 months. It was at the time John Mahama was vice president and chairman of the economic management team. It was under him that Ghana chalked its highest economic growth in history, 14.4% in 2011. It was under him that we saw interest rates in the single digits. So Ghanaians know what John Mahama can do with the economy if he's at the helm of economic management, because they've seen him occupy the position of vice president and chairman of the economic management team, the same position Bawumia has failed at. Even as president, when he was leaving office at the end of 2016, our country was not the bankrupt country it is today. We had a proud country which was serving its debt obligations. We have not defaulted on our debt obligations. Our credit rating was B-, meaning stable with a positive outlook. Today, we have defaulted on our debt obligations. The first time in the last 50 years. Our economy, which was rated B- under Mahama, today is rated junk. It's a baller economy that nobody has, confidence in. Today, we've been locked out of the capital markets that President Kufuor of the NPP, took us. Today, unemployment has soared to over 14.7% according to the Ghana Statistical Service. Ghanaians know that even though unemployment was a challenge under John Mahama, it stood at 8.4% according to the Ghana Statistical Service. So Ghanaians will not choose an unemployment rate of almost 15% over 8.4%.
Okay,
they will not choose a nominal CD to dollar rate of now 17.2 CDs to the dollar to 4 CDs, 20 pesos to the dollar under Mahama. So they have seen John Dramani Mahama as vice president and president, and they have seen Alhaji Bawumia as vice president and chairman of the economic management team. And they know that when it comes to the economy, Mahama is that safe pair of hands, is that experienced, tried and tested leader we can entrust our bankrupt economy to, for him to salvage what is left of the economy. And so I'm very clear in my mind that these important lessons will be picked by majority of Ghanaians. If you look at the campaign Vice President Kamala Harris ran in the U.S., her campaign is on all fours, or was on all fours, with a current campaign being run by Bawumia, where you hear a certain vice president saying that I'm not part of the mess created by my own government.
Can you hold on for me? Sami Jen, can you hold on? Let me just get the take of Dennis Miracles Abuaje on what you have said. Dennis.
Yes, I think that first of all, I'm glad that finally Sami is coming to the realization that, and the fact that a former president has won an election in America doesn't mean that an incompetent one will also win in Ghana. Now, just take note that the American people took a decision by running a strict comparative analysis between what Donald Trump did when he was president and what has happened under Biden with Kamala when they are president. Now, Donald Trump, when he was president, didn't have a situation where he plunged his country into darkness for 4 years. And so the people could vote for him because he didn't plunge the country into doom for 4 years to lead to factories and companies collapsing and lead to people being laid off from their work. Donald Trump, when he was president, did not say the country was broke, so much so that public sector workers worked for 12 months. and there was a 3-month policy to pay them for only 3 months. Donald Trump never did that. Donald Trump did not withdraw the social safety nets of the people of America in the name of the country is broke. John Mahama did. He cancelled allowances of nurses and teachers. He looked them in the eyes and said that if they're looking for him to restore this, so they vote for him, then they should vote against him. Donald Trump was voted back into office because the workers of the United States recall that when they encountered COVID at the time when he was president, he put in place some incentives for them so that they do not feel the effect of it as much as they would. Former President Mahama, when he was in office, looked in the eyes of the Ghana Medical Association and told them that he was not going to negotiate with them when it comes to improved conditions of service. And that if they say they are going to go on strike, they can go for all he cares. And that he's almost like a dead goat and he cannot be threatened by a knife. Donald Trump, when he was president, did a lot more in terms of infrastructure for the people of America. The former president, when he was president, constructed 4,000 kilometers of road for the people of this Ghana. No discerning Ghanaian would go and vote for the former incompetent president for constructing 4,000 kilometers of road and vote against a government that has constructed 12,000 kilometers of road. No discerning Ghanaian would do that. The thousands of teachers and nurses who completed school in 2013, 2014, 2015, and 16, that the former incompetent president, John Mahama, left them at home, they are still there. They will vote against him. You see, this economy was so broke under him that because the economy could not afford to provide the necessary safety net for the poor, over 100,000 children were left on the street every year without any opportunity to go to further education and have secondary education. Today, this government that he calls a failed junk economy is able to stand in there for the poor. Is able to provide for the poor. The failed junk economy he is referring to is able to keep the over 100,000 children they left on the streets in the classrooms and get them trained. The failed economy he is referring to has been able to buy fuel to power the generators that the incompetent one took on credit to keep the power of this country on for 8 years. The failed economy has not said that you're a public sector worker, you've worked for 12 months and I'll pay you for 3 months. That failed economy hasn't done that.
Okay.
You see, economy and its successes is not about the numbers on the table, on the paper. The successes of the economy is the impacts that the people feel in their lives. This government has not achieved everything that it set out to achieve. It is not every single economic indicator that this government would say that, hey, we've done so well with it. But I can tell you without any shadow of doubt that if you get onto the streets and talk to the ordinary Ghanaian, they will tell you that they prefer, in their words, the words of the incompetent former president, a failed economy that will ensure that they will have quality health care, that will ensure that people in very remote areas will receive medication when they want to receive as a result of the zipline drones, that would ensure that the National Health Insurance has added other illnesses that were not on the health insurance in the past. The incompetent one when it comes to health care, the National Health Insurance scheme was almost collapsed. 1.5 million Ghanaians left the scheme because it was completely useless. Today, we have not only seen an addition of millions more of Ghanaians onto the health insurance, but we have seen an addition of more illness and sicknesses that the health insurance was not covering. And the discerning Ghanaian would take an economy like that than that of the incompetent former president. So these are very critical things that the Ghanaian voter is going to look at. You see, you can't rant your way into power. You cannot rant and list challenges of a country into power. You ask them a very, very critical and important question. What is your alternative? The vice president, in all his engagement, as he is doing this morning, is showing his scorecard and telling the people of Ghana that, yes, this is what we have been able to achieve. But these are the things we have not been able to achieve yet. And so this remains our challenges as a country. Now, this is my solution to these challenges. And he's outlined clearly what his solutions, his proposal for dealing with the economic difficulties that we find ourselves in today. He's outlined them. He's outlined what his solution or proposal for dealing with the outstanding things in education, the outstanding things in health, the outstanding issues in infrastructure, the outstanding issues in all the social aspects of the citizens. What is the alternative of the incompetent former president. And those are the things that the people of Ghana are going to look at. So if you sit here in Ghana and assume that because you have a former president who was voted out of office because, predominantly, as you are aware, Trump was voted out of office because the people of America thought that he put them into difficulties during the COVID era. And that's what the Ghanaian people are not going to do. Everybody in the world admits that the COVID and the Russia-Ukraine is something that the world has not seen since the 1920s, since the Spanish flu. And so all economies are struggling and trying to get its feet back on track. And so today, if there's any lesson that the Ghanaian people are going to pay, that is, the Americans voted against Trump because they thought the economy was bad, but Trump kept telling them that COVID was the reason why he was going through those difficulties. And they voted against him only to bring a government, a democratic government, a sister party to the NDC, to come to office and symbolically perform. So the people of Ghana are learning lessons from it. They say, hey, the Republican Party, the brothers to the NPP in Ghana, were voted out of office because we said the economy was difficult, only for them to bring the NDC partners in the US, and they were completely a sham. And so they brought back the elephant into the White House simply because they have regretted. Why do you think the Ghanaian people will put themselves through that same regret when they know that you have nothing to offer?
Okay.
Why does he think that anybody would do? So you see, you don't come and stand and rant and list. What is your solution to the education situation that we have at the moment? What is your solution to the health situation?
Can you hold on?
What is your solution to the economic situation?
Okay. Then
the people will analyze that against what it is when you were president. Remember, he is the only one that has been president before on the ballot paper. The incompetent former president is the only person that has been president before on the ballot paper. No other candidate on the ballot paper has been president before. And so we cannot hide behind the listing of challenges that the country, everybody knows, obvious challenges that everybody is looking for it to vote for a solution to it, and list them and then go to sleep and expect that the people will vote for you. No, there are over 3 million Ghanaian children who have benefited from senior high school in spite of a failed economy. They will vote against you because you left their brothers at home when you were president.
Let me bring in Sami Jen Sam. Yes, Sami, you have the final points to make.
Thank you. First of all, this is Joy Super Money Show, right?
Yes.
So I'll plead that you fact check some of the things that your guests say on this platform, because this is arguably the biggest platform in Ghana, and your listeners are very discerning. Let's first of all set the record straight.
Don't worry, Raymond is here. He would fact check all of that. We'll fact check it.
So relative to some of the falsehood that Dennis has peddled, it is not true that John Mahama ever said that Ghana was broke, our economy was broke under him. John Mahama never said that. And so Dennis and his ilk should stop peddling that falsehood. Now, it is very rich coming from Dennis, when he says that Mahama said the economy is broke, a clear lie. But look, how do you even say that an economy that could service its debt obligations, an economy that was rated B-, an economy with inflation rate of 15.4%, an economy with debt to GDP of 56.5% as of 2016, is worse than an economy that cannot service its debt obligations. That at some point, debt to GDP had even crossed 100%. An economy that today has unemployment moving around 15%. So this economy is not broke, but Mahama's economy was broke. Must have stopped the joke. So this is a serious platform. Number two, he talks about doomsday and he says that under Donald Trump, his people were not put into doomsday for 4 years. It is not true that Ghana recorded doomsday for 4 years. That is another lie. It is in your very studios at Joy FM that Dennis Miracle Abuaje's boss, Alhaji Bawumia, came in March of 2016, and he was told that doomsday had been fixed. Load shedding had officially come to an end, and he was asked his views on that, and he said Mahama deserved no credit for fixing doomsday. For fixing doomsday. So we didn't have doomsday for 4 years. That is another lie. And the most important thing is that the essence of leadership isn't that there won't be challenges. But what true leaders are required to do, which John Mahama did, was that he took responsibility for a legacy problem, promised to fix it, and by the time he was leaving office, he had fixed it through the biggest mobilization of emergency power ever seen in the history of Ghana, and through the construction of the biggest factory in the history of Ghana, the $1 billion Tuabo gas processing plant. We save this country about $300 million every year. That is what visionary leaders do. So when you talk about Dumso, you are only highlighting how visionary John Dramani Mahama is, and the fact that he is a safe pair of hands we need to rescue us from the current economic malaise we have been plunged into by Alhaji Bawumia in the NPP. Number 3, he says that Mahama withdrew the safety nets that we enjoy as a country. What safety nets is he talking about? Allowances? You call allowances to teacher and nursing trainees safety nets? Wow. By the way, not too long ago, a nursing trainee told his boss, Bawumia, that for 3 years, some of them have not been paid allowances. What about that? Mahama never took away safety nets. He replaced allowances with student loans. Student loans are another form of safety nets. That is what students in degree awarding tertiary institutions enjoy. So they should stop regurgitating these discredited lies. It doesn't do their reputation any good. Then he said, under Mahama, teachers who had worked for 12 months were only paid 3 months. Another lie. The truth of the matter was that they were paid 3 months pending validation. And upon validation, they were paid everything they were due. This is another discredited lie that the NPP continues to regurgitate. It is never true. Is it not ironic that the very government that has failed to pay NAPCO beneficiaries their 700 Ghana cedis allowance for 9 months will be here talking about a government not paying workers? How rich? Look, he talks about infrastructure. Really? Everybody, even the children listening to us this morning, know that when it comes to infrastructure, John Mahama is infrastructure king. That is why he's been named the nation builder. And the mediocre, mundane projects that this government prides itself with pale into insignificance when compared to the unparalleled legacy of John Mahama when it comes to infrastructure. Today, Ghana can boast of the biggest port in West Africa. Because of who? John Mahama. It is because of him that we have the MPS terminal at the Tema port. The Takoradi port expansion was done by him. It is because of Mahama today we can boast of many world-class hospitals. At least because of John Mahama and his predecessor at Amels, we can boast of the first quaternary hospital in the whole of West Africa, the University of Ghana Medical Center. And I'm not even going to get the time to list the host of health projects he built. You can't compare Bawumia or Akufo-Addo to Mahama when it comes to infrastructure. Then he talks about Bawumia outlining bold solutions to the problems confronting us. Really? Bawumia is outlining bold solutions to the problem that he created? Bold solutions. What happened to these bold solutions in the last 8 years?
All right.
What is Bawumia's bold solution to the problem of high unemployment confronting us? The distribution of mobile phones on credit? What is his bold solution to the ever-depreciating cedi? Tell me one. Look, we are talking about the election of a former president, Donald J. Trump. A former president who was indicted, not once, twice. If Americans can vote for a former president who was also ridiculed, like Mahama, as a one-term president, and his competitor said, we are going forward, we are turning a new page, we are not going backwards. The same hymn song that Bawumia is singing, then Ghanaians will go back for that experienced, licensed driver, experienced president, tried and tested, John Dramani Mahama. Because they know that under him there was no DDEP with haircuts for people who have led to the government.
And Dennis Miracle Abuaje for joining us this morning. Sami Jen Sam, National Communications Officer of the NDC, and Dennis Miracles Abuaje, who is Director of Communication of the Bawumia campaign.